Hey, what's going on, guys? So this is our second review this week, and this is going to be on the Boze Sumo Frog. This is a Japanese style frog. Really had a hard time finding out any information about it on the internet. Really the only place I could find some decent information was on YouTube and on Tackle Warehouse, just going through the sizes and what people had to say about it. So pretty cool frog. It's got a pretty good following of people. Apparently it's been out for a long time. So I'm going to compare it up against some of the more well-known frogs that are out there and tell you about my experiences on the water with this frog. So let's check it out. Alright guys, so the Boze Sumo Frog. From my understanding, it only comes in one size. If you guys know of any other sizes, please let me know down there in the comments. But according to Tackle Warehouse, the size is 2 3/4 inches as far as the body is concerned, and it has a weight of 5/8 of an ounce. So it's a fairly heavy frog. Go ahead and show you guys my measurement here. From the line tie to the end of the body, it's a little over 2 3/4 inches, close to 2 7/8 inches for the body, and then the leg material is a little over 3 inches as well. So the entire frog is about 6.5 inches. So it's a pretty big frog. Go ahead and show you guys what it looks like up against a Copper's live target frog. You can see it's much skinnier, and it's a little shorter in this direction, which it's kind of hard to believe, but it's a little shorter in this direction. But it actually weighs about the same. And the weight, other than just from this weight here, the weight seems to be a fairly big weight, but the body is actually pretty dense is what I'll say. I don't want to say it's thick, because actually the material here on the body is not thick really at all. When you feel it up against like a Spro bronze-eye frog, the Spro bronze-eye frog material on the body seems to feel a bit thicker than this one. However, the body on this one seems to be, because it's more dense, it seems to be stiffer. And I'm going to talk about hookup ratios here when I talk about this hook that's here on this, as far as the style of this hook. The style of this hook is a round bend straight shank owner hook. So most of these frogs come with an extra wide gap style hook, where the hook straightens out here on the top to promote a certain weedlessness to the frog. But the idea behind using a straight shank style hook, or a round bend straight shank style hook, the idea is the same as using one in Texas rigging. Where in Texas rigging, if you were to use a round bend straight shank style hook, you would promote a better hook set, because the hook is going to be going in a direction. When you set the hook, it's going to drive it straight up into their mouth. So I didn't really feel like the hook sets were that much more increased with this frog. I caught fish on this frog for sure, but I didn't feel like the hookup ratios were better. In fact, I thought that I lost quite a bit of fish, more than I normally do with this frog. But I don't feel like it's because of that hook. I feel like it's because of the stiffness of the body. Now, the body is probably going to be a very durable frog and probably last you a long time. But I felt like the hook sets weren't spectacular. Now, some of the fish that I get, I can catch, pretty decent sized fish, but just like most of you guys, I mean, we're catching 1 and 2 pounders before we finally get into a 3, 4, 5 pound fish. Now, I want to catch those 1 and 2 pounders as much as I want to catch those 3, 4, and 5 pound fish. Now, a 4 or 5 pound fish is going to engulf this entire frog and crush it down. And so setting the hook on that is really going to be, it's really not going to make that big of a difference on how soft or whatever, because a bass is just going to crush it when they get it. But on a 2 or 3 pound, or on a 1 or 2 pound fish, they're going to grab it like this, and they may not get the entire frog. So those are where your hookup ratios are really going to become a problem with a frog that is stiff, because if it's a smaller fish with a smaller mouth, it's not going to get the entire frog. You're going to want the frog to be soft so you can get that hook set. These are just my 2 cents about it, you guys. So the frog is stiff, and it seems to be not promoting a good hook set. So you guys want to know about hook sets? That's my 2 cents about hook sets with my time on the water with it. As far as the leg material goes, it seems to be a round rubber leg material. There's about 20 strands on either side. Very vibrant colors here too, you guys. So that was something that I really appreciated too. most of us are going to be cutting it down, so it's going to be maybe about a ½ inch to 3/4 inches or 3/4 of an inch shorter than what they have here as standard. The legs come out to the side a little bit more than your average frog, so I think that the frog is probably not going to be the best walking frog in the world. I don't do a whole lot of walk the dog with my frogs anyway. I would like for them, when I give it a good twitch, to maybe just dart to one side. But as far as getting them into that rhythmic walk the dog across the water, I don't really do much of that anyway. So it's more of a bonus that if it gets it to just dart from one side to the other. So not that big of a deal to me. Now here on the bottom, you'll notice this is something that I recognize from Blood Knot 101's videos. He really seems to enjoy this frog a lot, and that was where I found some of the information about this frog, was just by watching some of his videos, because he's had these frogs for quite a long time. And if you guys want to learn anything about these frogs a little bit more than what I have to say about it, just go check out some of his videos too, because the guy's very knowledgeable about frogs to begin with. But he really seems to enjoy this frog, and he's had him for a long time, which kind of speaks to the durability of him anyway, because of the fact that, like I've already said, I mean, they're a dense frog. So, but he talks about this circle here on the bottom being a thicker material. I can't tell one way or another if it's a thicker material or not, but they definitely made a deliberate action to make this molded in, as opposed to just molding the entire frog like they do like on the Spro Bronzeye or the Copper's Life Target. See how they just mold that hole into it, where on this one they made a definite attempt to mold another disc inside of here. Now, for whatever reason they did that, I couldn't tell you for sure, but I would guess it's to keep this hole where the hooks go through, to keep that from stretching out. Now, why would you want to keep the holes from stretching out? To keep them from getting water in there. Now, this frog has an exit hole in it. And the exit hole seems to be nice to get the water out. You just gotta give it a squeeze, and it gets the water out. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this frog. This frog seems to take on a lot of water. It actually almost makes the frog unusable. And one of the main reasons I buy 2 frogs for my reviews is to make sure that one doesn't mess up. I've had, in my past reviews, I've had lures mess up, and they don't perform as desired or as intended, and so I pull out the next one, and then I want to see if that does the same thing. And sometimes it doesn't do the same thing, and then you call the manufacturer and say, hey, I've got a messed up frog, and then they send you, or a messed up lure, and they send you a new one. You guys can remember the backstabber lures review that I did with the Squirrelbow crankbait. That one messed up, pulled out the other one, and it worked fine, so I had to get a new one. Well, both of these frogs took on a lot of water, you guys. Just about on every cast, they were about half full with water, and it's an issue. It's unless you're throwing it in heavily matted vegetation where it's going to keep the frog buoyant, which is ideally for places to throw frogs anyway. But if you're throwing it in sparse cover or open water, if you leave this frog sit for more than just a few seconds, it's going to probably sink on you, which is an issue. So. And that's just my experience on the water, you guys, and I hope I don't get chastised for that, but that is my experience on the water with the Boze Sumo Frog, that if I wasn't throwing it over heavy matted vegetation where it actually helped keep it buoyant over the water, and like I said, I did catch fish with this for sure, but if you got it into open water and you let it sit for more than, let's say 5 seconds, it's probably going to start sinking on you. And I could probably show you, I'm not going to show you, but anyway, It did do some sinking on me. So, but the frog seems to be a very durable frog. It has some very nice features to it. It's got these very nice owner hooks on there, which I really appreciate. Not a lot of people use those round bend style hooks on their frogs, and the frog is very weedless too. So it's a good frog. It's probably going to last you a really long time. I don't see any problems coming from the construction of the frog or anything like that. It seems to be a very durable frog from my experience too. So I had the issues with the hookup ratios, and I had issues with the sinking and it taking on water. And like I said, most of the time when a frog takes on water, you just give it a little squeeze and that's the end of it. But accumulation starts over maybe 2 or 3 casts, not on one cast filling up halfway full with water. And the way I like to work my frogs, I like to work them real slow. So it seems to be a more natural look for the bass. So anyway, without getting into that too much, I've got 2 different colors here. I've got brown Menace and I've got clear gold flake Chartreuse throat. So the first color is brown Menace, and brown Menace is just an overall brown kind of right there on the edge of being a maroon frog, and it's got this design on the side. Couldn't tell you what it really is, but this is the business of the frog, which is this brown bottom with these 3 different color three different colors of leg material with the orange and the yellow and the brown. So this is brown Menace, and by the way, it also has that orange sclera black eye there. So there's brown Menace. And then clear gold flake Chartreuse throat. This is a clear frog. I don't really have any transparent frogs other than this one that I think I got from Tackle Warehouse. I think this was the only transparent frog that I got. I thought it would have been a really good one at open water, and actually it really was, if it just wasn't sinking all the time. But this one just has gold Chartreuse legs, and it's overall just a clear frog. So thought that maybe it would be good in clearer style water, but it probably doesn't really make that much of a difference anyway. So there's a clear gold flake Chartreuse throat, and this has all that gold flake in it. You can probably see it if I give you a zoom. There you go. So there's clear gold flake Chartreuse throat. All right, you guys. So there's the Boze Sumo Frog. Actually it's a really nice frog. I was very pleased with it coming out of the package. There's just some issues with it with taking on water. And like I said, taking on water is not that big of a deal when you have to squeeze it every once in a while. To me, that's not that big of a deal. The Copper's Live Target frogs do that. The Spro Bronze 60, they all do it. They all do that accumulation of water inside the cavity of the frog. The problem comes when it affects the performance of the frog and you can't work the frog as intended, and this one seems to do it more than it should. So, and I have 2 here, they both did it, so I don't really know what to say outside of that. So if you guys like the video, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. And also, more importantly, if you guys have any comments or any experience with the frog, please post them below so that way other people can learn from your guys' experiences with the frog, because my experience doesn't mean that everybody's experience is the same way. My experience could be an isolated incident, so take it with a grain of salt and check it out for yourself, you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.